and embarrassing. And I guess, that's what he depended upon, because when we came out of the exam room, I wasn't going to tell my mother, hey, this guy just masturbated me.
Several victims spoke exclusively to Eyewitness News, all of them telling near identical stories of abuse made in the 1990s and early 2000s. We deeply regret pain and suffering caused to any of Dr. Archibald's former patients, wrote the hospital in a statement, also offering to help pay for victims' counseling. Victims call it too little, too late.
They could have done this.
Yeah.
He walk and shamed him like he shamed us.
The Manhattan District Attorney declined to say whether he was investigating these allegations. Many of them have already passed the statute of limitations. But we do know that multiple victims have obtained attorneys who are examining what legal options these victims have. Liz?
Danielle, thank you. Well, a not-guilty plea tonight from a teacher on Long Island accused of having sex with a teenage student for nearly 3 years. Police say 33-year-old Daniel McMenamin had sex with the girl starting in 2014 when she was only 14 years old. McMenamin is facing dozens of charges, including rape. He was a teacher at the Lawrence Woodmere Academy in Woodmere. Police say the victim was a student at the school at the time. McMenamin left the school back in 2016. And we do have an update now on that breaking news that many have been following this evening. That little girl who was found alone outside of a school in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, she will now soon be reunited with her parents. Police say the girl's grandmother accidentally dropped her off. That's 4-year-old Candace Wright White at the wrong school today. Her parents have been notified and are now on their way to pick her up.
Tonight, recovering after getting trapped waist deep in an 8-foot hole of mud. It happened this morning in Dix Hills on Long Island. Investigators in Suffolk County say 22-year-old Trevor Borders began sinking into a hole he dug to gain access to the basement of a home. Rescue workers finally freed the 22-year-old after an agonizing 2.5 hours using a pulley and harness system. He was cold and he was wet, but did not appear to be seriously hurt. And no word yet on what caused a car explosion that hurt 2 MTA workers. It happened in a Metro North rail yard parking lot in North White Plains in Westchester County today. Newscopter 7 over the scene, as you can see. And you can see also the damage to the car. Metro North has not been impacted in terms of service.
Well, new rules went into effect today for NYPD officers. They are now required to share their full names and ranks with anyone they stop on the street. It is called the Right to Know Act, but the officers' union is not happy about it. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Rob Nelson.
Back in January, and today that law takes effect. Welcome news to several residents today in the Monhaven section of the Bronx.
I think it's a better thing for them to do in certain situations, because nobody should have to feel that they're being harassed in any kind of way.
Under the new law, NYPD officers are now required to share their full names and their rank with people they stop on the street. The cops must also inform civilians of their right to refuse certain types of searches, no warrant or no reasonable suspicion. Also, officers must now hand out business cards.
Like we're selling telephones is asinine.
One of the most vocal critics of the law is Pat Lynch, president of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. He says the law is a solution for a problem that never existed to begin with.
We don't need instructions.
Reduce that tension.
We have a lot of people that don't know their rights, and we have a lot of people that get stopped and they don't know what to say and what to do. They get scared right away.
It actually took a long time, about 4 years, for the NYPD and the City Council to go back and forth to get the Right to Know Act in the books. The NYPD did release a statement saying it will fully comply with the law and will fine-tune the policy depending on what's working and what's not. Reporting in the Bronx, Rob Nelson, Channel 7, Eyewitness.
New York cops have nabbed a second member of the Proud Boys conservative group believed to have taken part in a clash at the Republican Club on the east side of Manhattan. Today, the NYPD arresting Jay Kinsman. They say he was among the members of the ultra-nationalist group that took part in last Friday night's confrontation in Manhattan. More members expected to surrender tonight. Meanwhile, controversy tonight involving New York Governor Cuomo with 2.5 weeks before the midterm election. The governor, who has never gone out of his way to debate his opponents, finally saying he will debate, but only on the radio and only tomorrow morning, a Saturday, at 8 a.m. The reaction from Republican candidate Mark Molinaro? Take 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. Here's political reporter Dave Evans.
I'm not going to be a political prostitute. I understand what that means.
Republican candidate for governor Mark Molinaro was on fire this afternoon, furious at Governor Cuomo's refusal to do a traditional TV debate. The New York Post has even ridiculed Cuomo, putting him in a chicken soup for his refusal to debate.
I will consistently say yes to a debate, not to a staged production.
This morning on the radio, the issue came up again.
But I'm guessing there's not going to be a debate.
There were multiple candidates. It came up again a few minutes later at another radio interview where WCBS 880 offered Cuomo a debate tomorrow morning on the radio. What will it take to get you to debate your opponent? And to everyone's surprise, the governor said, yes, just don't interfere with parents' weekend at his daughter's college.
I will make it work. If you can, I'll be here, same time, same place. Call it a debate if you want. Call it whatever you want. I'll be here, but just let me know so I don't have to rearrange my daughter's trip.
That offer infuriated Molinaro. No lead time to prep, and apparently only on radio.
As if he's like the sheriff of Nottingham that we're supposed to come bow before and say, please, sir, would you mind allowing me to debate you?
Molinaro is calling Cuomo's offer a debate on the radio tomorrow morning a fraud on the voters of New York. He says we all deserve a more traditional televised debate and with a little more than just 24 hours notice. If it's going to happen at all, it needs to be fairly soon. Election day is now just 2.5 weeks away. Dave Evans, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Making us all healthier, or at least trying to, as we continue with Eyewitness News at 6 on this Friday night. Big new push tonight to reduce the amount of sugar in prepackaged foods. His comments about talking less and doing more. Sam Ryan in for Ryan Field coming up with sports.
Consider home this weekend. We'll have the forecast of blustering wind for Sunday. Meanwhile, after a cold morning, we got close to 60 in many spots, and the evening's fairly mild, although a little on the breezy side, but holding in the 50s. We're timing some showers off to the west, and these milder breezes, they turn into cold, blustery winds by the second half of the weekend. I'll tell you all about it in the 7 a.m. weather forecast. That's coming up on Eyewitness News at 6.
The young family closes on their dream home.
Only to find out there's an $8,000 danger buried in their backyard.
We had no idea.
Tell on your side, clear up a septic situation.
What every home buyer should know.
Monday on Eyewitness News at 5.
All right, baby.
What's good, Dr. Hopkins? Not UCB, you're winning, but you haven't won enough. You've got a